It's a new year with new faces in the Frontier League. Our preview for them is coming up next on the Indie Ball Report podcast. So we're going to get to this Frontier League preview. We're going to run through it as we always do, give you the basics of each league, then we're going to go in alphabetical order through each of the teams and give you thoughts, win projection, whole deal. And then at the very end, we have, your most surprising, disappointing storyline, all that stuff to watch for. So basic stuff here, 96 games, more of a divisional focus this year. Season starts May 8th, ends August 31st. New division and playoff format this year. We have 4 divisions now across 2 conferences. The Atlantic and Midwest Conference. In the Atlantic, you have the North Division made up of Quebec, Trois-Rivieres, Tri-City, Brockton, and Ottawa. And you have the East Division made up of Sussex, New Jersey, New York, and down east. Of course, on the Midwest side, you have the Central Division of Washington, Lake Erie, Evansville, and Florence. And then the West Division of Schaumburg, Mississippi, Joliet, Windy City, and Gateway. Playoff format changes to be the best 2 division winners. So, your division winners across all 4, and then the best 2 records in the remaining conference. So essentially 2 wild cards per conference, and division winners get in. Round 1 will have your best division winner playing the worst wild card, and then the second best versus the best, like that. On the other side, best of 3 series there. The winner of those 2 will play each other. In the Division Championship Series, also best of 3, and then that winner will go on to play the other conference's champion in a best of 5 championship series. That is how that works. You may be surprised at some of those team names. That's because the Brockton Rock are formerly the New England Knockouts, so they finally took the Brockton branding back. They only took an ownership change there after 1 year. And there are 2 new teams in the Down East Bird Dogs and the Mississippi Mud Monsters. Those markets formerly were the Down East Wood Ducks?
Yes.
And the Mississippi
formerly the Kinston
Braves.
Indians, if we're going back further, but
hell yeah. That's
sorry, I don't love the fact that, I don't know. That's a whole thing. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm not even going to get into it. It's whatever. Down East, I think is mid-branding, but it's whatever.
Remember the Kingston Indians with the K, and they had the Indian shooting the arrow?
Yeah, man. I like.
Great.
I mean, obviously, I understand why we're not doing that brand anymore, but like, I'm sure there's some weirdness, but like, why would it not be Kinston?
Yeah.
Still.
All these games also will be streamed on Home Team Network for $80 annually, so you can keep an eye on that. They do run different promotions and stuff for discounts, so you can probably get cheaper.
Sure. I don't pay attention. That's on me.
Yeah. Quick recap of the 24th season. Played out pretty much as we all expected. Quebec and Washington won their respective divisions. We saw Tri-City lose to Ottawa in the wildcard game. Gateway lost to Lake Erie in the wildcard game, which was the unexpected bit. Did not think a near 60-win team would lose to a basically 500 club, but here we are. And then Quebec defeated Ottawa in 3, the usual routine of, this might finally be the time Quebec loses. And then it's like, oh, no, wait, I forgot. They do this move. We're in the 7th inning. They're like, oh, yeah, no, we're not losing anymore. And then win. And Washington defeated Lake Erie in 2 because, of course, they would. Which brought us to the matchup we've kind of wanted for a few years now of the 2 titans of this league getting to square off. Not the Ottawa Titans, of course. We've seen them lose.
Oh, yeah. Womp, womp.
But,
oh, well, you really did that. Okay.
That's what they get for not picking a language. So Quebec, they wound up defeating Washington in 4, couple of comeback victories in that one to secure the 3-peat for them and continue to add titles to their resume. And that is how 24 played out. Any thoughts on the background information on 25 or 24 before we begin this preview?
No, not really. It all comes down to I hate to make it the be all end all, but like, is someone going to beat Quebec, or are we going to run this back again? Like, it's just kind of
Ryan. They've only won 10 times.
It feels like 10 million, I'm sure.
I just want to point out, right? This team has existed since 1999, so they're into their 26th season. They played 25. They've made the playoffs 19.
That's insane, man. It's offensive.
Oh, it's kind of funny though that they just did like, yeah, this is kind of what we do.
Yeah.
Like what from like 08 to 2014, they just made it every year. Lost in 14, didn't make it. Then just like 15, 16, 17, 18, didn't make it in 19, didn't play in 20 or 21. And then since then, just like, yeah, we made it 3 straight, won 3 straight. Just kind of how it is.
Man, it's just insane, man.
Oh, it's stupid.
I know. It's hard to, because like you like to do a little like league history background. And it's like, well, that's that.
Just like, that's just what they do.
Yeah, it's just long trudge into a nightmare for everybody.
Yeah, it's kind of funny though. Wikipedia's got the rivalry section for them. This will be the last bit, and then we'll get into actual teams, I promise. But it goes, during their 25 years of existence, the Capitals have had several rivals with Frontier and Can-Am teams during the regular season and continuing into the playoffs. Today, the Capitals intense rivalries with New Jersey Jackals, New York Boulders, and Ottawa Titans. And then the aforementioned teams, they've got a rivalry with Trois-Rivieres, as well as my rivalry with Ottawa Rapids. But like, I read that and I just think of like get which basketball player put up the quote, but like, there's no rivalry. They always kick our ass. And it's kind of like that. Yeah. It's like, is it really a rivalry? They're always kicking your ass. It's pretty one-sided.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, it's a little tough to be invested in that in the way that I think they're trying to get you invested. It's just like, yeah, man, I mean, we've seen the movie before. It's just, will this be the time when it goes different? I don't know. I mean, I'm not complaining about it. I think sports is great when there's a main power in the middle that everyone's trying to assail. However, I'm not sure everyone feels that way when you're on the receiving end of it. Like I've played in leagues that were like that. Not always fun. Like I get it, but at the same time, it's fun to have a main sort of evil empire.
And that's the thing about dynasties, right? For as much as people don't like them, they're good for the sport because, like you said, it gives you something to root against.
Well, plus, and it goes to the plot theory too of, it's great to have something almost like a through line, like that you can follow, it gets you're acquainted with the characters now. If that makes sense. And I think that's always good for a league, that familiarity, whether, you don't want people to be like sick of it, but like it helps that they're seemingly always playing different teams. If it's always the same team playing Quebec and getting smacked every championship, it's like, well, all right. I'm not sure that how often do we need to see this? But I agree. I think it's a good vibe right now.
So I guess on that note, we can talk about Brockton now, because that's a comparable franchise.
Tough one, Brockton, but yeah, what are we thinking here?
Finished 6th in the East last year. They came on strong towards the end. It's not too much here, if we're being honest. I think Austin White's nice. I think Wold's nice. I think Rosario's nice. Derek Bender is interesting as hell.
Yes, I agree.
But that's about it. I mean, pitching-wise, quickly, and Barrow's interesting solely because he's young and he wasn't bad. So I want to see how he develops.
Yeah. Emmanuel Rosario's had good moments.
Yeah.
He almost hit 300 for New Jersey last year, which is huge out of a catcher role. So I like him. It does feel like this is, I would have probably liked a bigger step forward this year, but it feels like there is at least a sure-footed path. And we've talked previously about, a lack of confidence in Jared Edmondson.
Yeah.
However, I like keeping Jared Edmondson for a second year and an opportunity to grow and learn more and be comfortable in the league and use the connections he's hopefully made, rather than being like, that didn't work, next, and throwing someone else in there and taking you might as well attempt to build something and you can go from there. The worst case scenario, maybe he's not cut out for it, and maybe there's a few guys worth building around on the roster, and then you at least have something to build with once a new guy comes in. And this isn't me trying to get rid of Edmondson's job. I'm saying, like, the worst case scenario is kind of, all right, we still suck. The best case scenario is you're a little better and you've shown sense of growth. You might as well make the opportunity for a sense of growth here. And hell, I mean, have a manager that fans are familiar with. I'm not sure anybody is familiar with anybody on this team. So at least you might as well have one consistent face somewhere. Oh, Jared DiSorcina is still around though, which I love.
I mean, Walt was there last year too.
True. And that's more along the lines of, I just don't think anyone was in the stands to become familiar with the team last year.
That's a very fair point. That's really where I'm looking for them this year. I want to see them actually, do something.
You've taken the Rock's place. Now, now do something with that.
Yes.
You're not the little brother anymore.
What do you think wins wise?
Or the older, uglier cousin, technically.
Wins wise, what are we looking?
Yeah.
So I got them at about 45.5. Might be a little optimistic, but I do think they'll be able to carry themselves through a division that is admittedly not very good. So I think they will do okay. I think they'll be a step in the right direction, even if it's not a huge step.
Yeah. Just reminding myself. I'm sorry. The one thing I keep having to do is go back and remind myself of who's in the damn division.
They are in there.
Yeah, I got Ottawa, Tri-City, Trois-Rivieres, and Quebec.
Keep in mind, the other kind of teams they'd be playing would be like the Jackals, the Boulders, the Miners, Dogs, that kind of thing.
I think they make a 5-game improvement. I think it's a 43-win team.
43-win team. Okay, so we're both around the
I think. See, you and I have different opinions on their division.
Okay.
I mean, they have both. They've like 3 to 4 potential playoff teams if we're looking at what last year's division looked like.
I mean, Quebec,
nasty.
Ottawa, let me be clear. There's going to be
borderline. Yeah,
there's going to be 3 playoff teams from that division. Let's get that straight. But that's less, I think.
Yeah.
On there being good teams, and more the East Division is a tire fire.
Yeah, I mean, unless we unexpectedly, which look, Mississippi looked pretty good last night. We'll get to that. Unless Down East shows up and starts like just ripping spinal columns out of people, or like start ripping throats out like it's MacGruber. Like, but I don't necessarily see that happening up in the East Division.
No,
I agree. I think Brockton. I'm going to reduce it. I'm going to say 42 wins.
Okay, let's take them with 45. I think they're able to beat up on some of these bad teams.
Gross.
Down East is actually up next. Funny you mention them. First-year manager, first-year organization. I don't love the roster, I'll be honest. Tapia continues his tour through independent leagues like that, though. I think he could probably still have something in the Frontier. Didn't really have it in the last 2 leagues, but I think here he may still have something. Trey Law is interesting. Jalen Smith, I think, may make the transition over to the Frontier fairly well. Rathfield is an interesting guy, and same thing with Spencer Johnson on the pitching side. Overall, again, I think the amount of wins they get is going to be inflated by the fact of look who they are playing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the roster building is, for what you had to work with, fine. My bigger thing is, like with Brockton, with Down East, I care less about on the field and more like, let's build some good habits. Let's improve as the season goes along. Let's be a competent organization, beginning to through. And let's show something for next year. And I know it's a tough thing to say on opening day, is yes, we're going to build for next year. But I just don't really see much on the roster. Which again,
I don't.
That's kind of what I expected though from a guy that's a first-year manager
Right.
in a first year organization that still needs to build those connections and still needs to get their feet wet on how all this works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I will say this is one, and I think I mentioned earlier that I have a lot of player projections, but I don't have a lot of rosters assembled because we just kind of have been getting them in like sort of a dump of rosters over 24 hours here.
Yes.
I'll have a more concise sort of idea of projected win-loss in the future, but I will say this is a team where I have a very solid feel for their offensive situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I think they might be like a full run behind league average offensively. And I think based on my basic looking here, I feel like their offense might be better than their pitching. So it does not bode well. Yes. Yeah. So there is that. I don't know what to make of that.
I will say, though, they're already in the right direction, though. They upgraded in the pitching coach position.
Yeah.
Which is a huge plus, honestly, though.
I'm going to put it out there. Talk about potential tampering with Reggie Harris. So have fun with that one, Reggie. Hopefully we don't see you again.
Yeah.
Sorry, like I'm just saying, like if you're not a net positive for indie ball, I'm kind of out on you. Like, and you've had lots of opportunities.
That's the one thing, right? Like once you burn through all those opportunities, I have a hard time feeling bad for you.
Yeah, it's like alrighty then.
That of course being said, though, they did go with a fairly young guy as a pitching coach. If I have the right guy here.
Well, I think you have to. Most of the established guys are already picked up, right?
Yeah, I hate having a staff where like it's a bunch of dudes in their late 20s, early 30s. Like, I would love that one dude that's like, in their 50s at least, where it's just like, hey.
There is a way that this is vibey. This is a way where the energy is really good.
That is true.
Here's my concern. In order for like, speaking as someone who's a fan of the MLB club, that had a group that we simply called the daycare for several years. And speaking of what we see when we look at a team like the Baltimore Orioles right now, young guys and that energy is great when you're winning ball games. When you're not, Alec Boehm is saying, I can hate this place. Bryce Harper looks like he's about to go home and end it. JT Realmuto is shaking his head on the mound as a reliever comes out. It is chaos and it is bad vibes all over the place. It doesn't matter how wet Brandon Marsh's hair gets. It is, but when you're winning, it's great. But boy, I don't know that this team is going to win a lot. I mean, where are you sitting on their win-loss?
Win-loss, I am at 42.5. Admittedly, I think it's a little high. But again, again,
Shane Gillis. Oh,
again, look at who they are playing.
What are you doing?
You're going to tell me they're that much worse than the other teams that they're playing.
Hold on. Let me feel that out. Again, this is what happens when I don't have a full projection on things, but it's like.
Let me just give you their May schedule, okay? Ottawa, New Jersey, Mississippi, Tri-City, New York. That's their May.
Okay.
Then they get Quebec for a very long time, which is going to be a bad week when Quebec comes to town. But then you get Brockton, New Jersey, Tri-City, Mississippi, Trois-Rivieres, Sussex. You see what I'm getting at?
Yep. All right. I'm going to match. I'm going to go. What'd you say?
I said 42.5.
I'm going 42.
All right.
And second straight 42, but hey,
See, that's the thing. Like, right? Last year we had some teams in the 30s and whatnot. But now with this division setup that prioritizes teams to play like, the other teams in your division. If you have a bad division, you can still rack up wins.
Yeah, I agree.
Or Fugazi wins, but they're wins. Just like if you have a really strong division, you could be a really good team. You could be a team that should be around 52, 53, 54 wins, contending for a playoff spot, and you finish with 47.
Right.
And it's just the unfortunate reality. Evansville is up next Sixth in the West, no postseason for them last year. I do think they're an improved team. I think they are better. I like their pitching better. Beamer, Brahms, Delgado, we know those guys. They're all back. Scott's back. Korbacher, I think, is interesting. Griff Hughes, also an interesting name. It's the batting where I am concerned. I don't think there's a lot there. David Mendham's nice. Mason White's nice. Delgado and Brown are both interesting guys, too. But I do get concerned about their depth.
Yeah, I mean, Pavin Parks, David Mendham are guys I really like. Mason White's a good call out by you. There's some interesting pitching for sure. Like, I'm always a Parker Brahms guy, whether I should be or not, yet to be seen. It does feel like they have improved over last year, which it seems obvious, right? Because last year was kind of an unforeseen fall off. It was one of those ones where it's like, you know, they certainly were not a good team, but like, that went far worse than anyone would have expected. I think it was just untimely injuries, bad vibes, bad schedule timing, things like that. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see. I do feel like they've improved. I'm just trying to ballpark how much have they improved? And that's really the question here. What's your feel on that? Like was this a team? Because was this a team that really required a lot of change, or just required a fresh start? In your, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I felt like it was kind of a transition type of year, where last year when it started to go wrong, it became time like, okay, we got to move some guys around here. I didn't think they were going to be nearly as bad as they were last year. I'll say that. I have them for a notable improvement, and arguably maybe too much of an improvement. I have them at around 52.5. So in hindsight, that number is probably a little high, touch high, but I do think they're on the same level as a lot of the teams in their division. So if they can go and just play 500 ball in their division, I think they can get that like little bit of bump that gets them over that 500 number.
My concern is the difficulty. Now, the West Division was pretty good last year, but the two teams that were worse than them last year, and in fact, three of the teams like kind of closest to them in the standings at the bottom are all in the other division now. So that's a tough one. And that worries me. And I think with that, I do see them improving, but I think it's
for me, it really comes down to what does Mississippi do?
Yeah, and I think Evansville is really only gaining. Well, Mississippi is in the other division.
No.
Yeah, they're in the West.
Oh, yes, but they play them a lot, though. That's why I keep.
Yeah, they do. Because Evansville kind of does drop. Sort of, we forget. It's practically Kentucky.
Which makes you wonder if they should have gotten stuff around a little bit differently.
It's just a weird shape, man. No matter which way you cut it up, you end up with like a weird one, like a weird team sort of stuck. I tried for like 30 minutes the other day. I was like, geez, all right. Geez, I need a hobby. Anyway, what a job. Where were we? 43 wins is what I have, which I'd like to say more, but I think they got screwed with the division split. And unfortunately, I think that's where I can't go any higher than them right now. The improvements they've made are certainly improvements, but they're not massive.
That's fair. I don't know why. I feel like they're going to be
46. I'm going back to 46. 46 is my answer. No, 44. 44 is my answer. I'm done.
You sure?
I'm good. No, I just realized as I'm doing the comparison between the opening day roster and what I had on projections, and it looks like they're going to be playing a couple of guys I like more than I would have anticipated. So I'm kind of coming back around to that.
Okay. I just think they're going to get more of an improvement than we may think. So.
I hope so. I like Evansville. I like that franchise.
That note to Florence, fifth in the West last year, no postseason, up and down season.
Oh, God.
They went from looking really good to not looking really good. I mean, the story this year for me, this pitching staff isn't good.
No, it's not, man.
I mean, Matt Fernandez and Jet Loads are nice, but that's about it. I mean, I liked batting. Don't get me wrong. I liked batting a lot. I think Saban's good. I think Reeves is good. Ristich, I think, is good. Zeisler is good. Richardson's good. Craig Massey and Armani Smith are good. Like, there's half a dozen hitters in this lineup I like.
Yes.
But my God, I don't love anything really about this pitching staff.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah. So when it comes to Florence's pitching, it's just when I'm looking at a team who really needs to just build back on basics, the one thing I'm looking for in pitching is I'm not looking for experience. I'm not looking for even strikeout stuff or not giving them homers. Like I look for guys who aren't going to put extra dudes on base. And this pitching staff walks a lot of guys. I would pretty firmly expect them to be the worst pitching staff in the league when it comes to walks. I think they could be walking 6 per 9 if things really go the way that they project to potentially go. And that's just not going to play, especially in a hitter-friendly ballpark, because that means you're getting guys on base, and then dudes are slapping singles that become doubles in that place, and like you just got guys running all over you. I really worry about it, man. I like Florence. I want them to do well, but I don't know, man.
I know, and then you get one team that can actually run, and now all of a sudden,
good God, I know.
Goes to hell really quickly. And like when you build around offense like that, now you're chasing your tail. And how long can you keep that up for? Like I've been a proponent of don't build around pitching because you can't win a 0-0 game for a minute now. But like even still, like at a certain point, right, you still need pitching. And it's just, where is that pitching right now? Where is it going to come from too? There's no relief on the way here.
Yeah. I want this to not be a disaster so badly. I'm looking for reasons. I'm like, I've seen this roster a lot. I'm still looking at it like, give me something. But last night, I mean, they coughed up 13 was it to Mississippi?
I believe so, yes.
And on 16 hits. Brother, that lineup's never played together. Like, what are we doing?
With a lot of noise going on in the background on it too.
It's interesting. I don't know. What do you think here? Is there a route to success? I mean, offensively, they should be fine.
Yeah, see, that's like their opponent. That's their route to success.
That's the problem. You know, there's football games at this point. Like,
exactly, they're playing Pioneer League ball.
Right.
Which might be disrespectful to the Pioneer League at this point. Because they have
I agree.
Very much improved on that.
Yeah, and their parody's improving too.
Fair.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm trying to put a number on it. It feels offensive either way.
I have 48.5. I think they'll be able to outrun it for a minute. But I think it's going to catch up to them.
For like the third time already in this, I promise I won't keep going back to it. I'm going back to 42.
Surprising. Normally, I'm the one that's a little down on teams. Here, I'm like the Mr. Positivity.
We've had a tough start here. Would I give Evansville? 44 is where I landed on.
Yes.
Eventually.
After much deliberation.
But with myself in the committee, who is also myself.
Yeah.
Right,
switch.
Where are we at?
We're going to switch to a better team now in Gateway. Second in the West last year, lost in the wild card game, second straight wild card loss for them. So tough scene for the Gateway Grizzlies over the last couple of years. But regular season wise, they are pretty damn good. I like the pitching. Zach Trace is nice. Weinberg's nice. Conrad, Whaley, Coonrad too. De La Cruz is nice. Peguero's good. I like a lot of the pitchers here. Offensively, they provide a little bit more. Gabe Holt's always a guy I like a lot. Victor Castillo's good. DJ Stewart's good. Jose Alvarez seems interesting. Overall, I like the unit as a whole, and I like their management. I like everything there.
Yeah, still pulling the full roster here, but in general, yeah, it's a well put together team. They have, this was specifically the one I called out before that I was like, oh, this one is a lot different than I thought it was going to be. Yeah, I guess on the offensive side, it's pretty similar. It's going to be good. I mean, Whaley, Weinberg's, De La Cruz is interesting. Yeah, I mean, we can go through that. I like Keegan Collette sticking around. So there's a lot of good stuff there. It is a little interesting outside of like Sam Coonrod's the whole thing. I'm not a big Sam Coonrod guy, but So the pitching looks fine. The hitting, I have a little bit of a better grasp on when it comes to like what their infield looks like and all that. And it should be solid. I like adding Paxton Wallace in and keeping him around. That's a good move. Yeah, man. I think this is a much more solid start. Their outfield, I have some questions on. I think they could lack depth out there. But after Cole Brannon and Victor Castillo, I think there's some question marks. But I think for the most part, they should be pretty competitive and at least put together 6 or 7 solid guys in the lineup on any given night. So yeah, man, and that in Gateway should play nicely. I mean, in that ballpark, you know.
Yeah, definitely. I got them at about 57.5 wins. I think slightly worse than last year, just due to scheduling. But overall, I still like this as a team.
I had them at 58.
Okay, yeah, so we're pretty much in lockstep there.
Yeah, man.
All right, Joliet up next. The Slammers, 8th in the West last year. Not a good season. No playoffs there. Definitely were one of our more disappointing teams last year. I think we thought they'd be a lot better than they wound up being. But this year...
Yeah, we knew that there would be some difficulties. I think that was just worse than anybody expected. I think we could even, if you talk to them, which we should, I think they were like, well, that went worse than we thought it was going to go. There just wasn't anything going. There was no momentum at any point. The offense wasn't there. The pitching was there enough, but they ran into stretches where they had that weird thing where the offense would show up and all of a sudden the pitching would just give up a 10 spot. And you're like, okay. So that happened. And then they lose 2-1 the next day. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Overall, I think the roster is better this year, though.
Yeah, for sure.
I like agree. The roster a lot. Brian Pena is interesting. CJ Blauer's coming in from Ottawa. I like that a lot. Zach Westcott's always nice. Gunnar Kynes has best years with Mike Pinto, so maybe there's still something there. Maybe the arm's cooked. We don't know. We're going to find out this year, though. Jacob Moran and Cameron Smith are also nice little depth options, too, that I like. Batting-wise, there's a lot of guys here that very much fall into, if things go right, will have a really nice season. And if they don't, they will likely be gone by the 4th of July.
Yeah, that's fair.
A guy like Liam MacArthur, Blake Berry, I like those guys, more long-term ones, but Antonio Valdez, Jamie Smart, Braylon Marine, who was very nice in YOLO last year, and Drew Stengen at the catcher position. All names I like to look at. Also, shout out to Chris Davis for getting a Duke degree or getting a Princeton degree and then a grad degree from Duke. He set himself up great for post-baseball living. That's winning off the field, kids. That's winning off the field.
Don't know. I'm trying to decide how I feel about this when it comes to the rest of the roster, though. Because I'm looking at like it is improved, but I'm now trying to compare it to like, what do we think about Gateway? Is this really going to compete with Gateway? Oh, it feels optimistic.
Keep in mind, they are going to play a lot of Windy City and Mississippi and whatever Schaumburg winds up being.
No, you're right. Okay. Well, I don't know. What's your feel on a win total here?
51.5. I'm optimistic on them. I'm very high on them. I admit that's one that could look very badly very early. But I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to be in on them for now.
See, what was you go with?
51.5.
51. Okay. Because I heard 41. I was like, wait, the rest of your sentence did not match what I thought you said. I'm not that crazy on them. I'm going to go 47. Almost back to 500, which I think is around 500 is probably a successful year, especially in what is not a very easy division. Outside of Mississippi, which who knows what that's going to look like. You know, Mississippi just proved last night they can dismiss a team that's not ready to go. So,
true.
We'll see.
We'll talk about Mississippi in just a second, but first we have Lake Erie, 3rd in the West, lost in the divisional series last year. My biggest thing when I look at him is we didn't learn from last year. Once again, we're walking in with Alfredo Gonzalez as our lone bat of note. The pitching is good. Cal Carper, Kenny Pearson, Eisenbarger, Escobar, Reagan's all back. Brandon Sinninger comes in. I like that a lot. Pitching staff, great. Love it. We still can't hit.
Yeah. I don't know that I was like, it can't be worse than last year. I'm like, I don't think it's better necessarily. Yeah.
I mean, they're going to benefit from having Evansville and Florence on there a lot. That much is for certain. But Washington's still going to kick them in the head.
Yeah. Sorry, that your phrasing got me on that one. I'm looking through. I mean, projections back up what we're thinking, so I'm not really getting much help there. Trying to not bury them on this. I mean, oh God. All right. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to look at their schedule too, see if there's any like gaps where they can kind of get situated. Not necessarily. So, how do we feel about that then? What is this division again? Evansville, Florence, Washington. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, those are the three right around them.
Workable. I mean, obviously Washington's a damn problem, but
yeah, but everything else.
Play on every game. That's my optimistic take. I thought 51 games was really good for them last year, by the way. Honestly, they probably could have done a little better. I don't know. Do you think this is a step backwards? Do you think this is worse?
I think it's around the same. I have them at 50 and a half. I think they stay about the same.
Trying to compare like position by position, which is a little tough without a full depth chart in front of me. I do have them stepping backward, though. I mean, it feels negative. I got them like 46.
Really?
Yeah. Because I think, the pitching is good. I'm just trying to think how many runs are they going to give up. I worry, I guess, about them not being able to sort of punch down on a couple of teams they're punching down on last year. Was it Windy City and Joliet?
I mean, they still have Windy City on there a lot.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
They have a New Jersey and a Brockton series as well.
Yeah.
They got Joliet on there still.
Harsh.
So they do still play, these other teams. It's just not as much.
Maybe I'll put them at 49. I just don't see it.
Okay.
Again, being overly negative, maybe I might adjust all these once I kind of get my math worked out.
You're right. We have Mississippi up next.
Yeah, man. Okay. So we have one game worth of scouting on this. Let's get into it.
Yeah. I do like some of their pitching. I think Barraza, Morris, Peguero, and Theophile are good.
Yes.
I like them. Batting wise, there are a lot of guys from like, if it goes well, we can have some.
Yeah, on one side, yes. On the other side,
it's just like we know that's not going to go that well all the time. So like Michael Reed, Ryan Cash, nice. Gonzalez, Bradshaw, nice. Braylon Skinner, interesting. I still don't know what to make of it all, though.
Yes. And I'm not sure how it's all going to fit together. I didn't get a great idea of it last night. I only got to watch part of that game.
Yeah.
So that's, it depends. And I think a lot of it's going to depend on you're going to lose guys at some point. What does it look like then? And that's an easy and dumb sort of cop out, but on a first year team, that is something I think about a lot, especially on a roster that like doesn't look bad. It looks like it should compete. I mean, we talk about how bad New England was last year and they competed. Of course, they got the gift of the two Jersey teams, but that ain't nothing. So, I mean, they got to be better than down east, right?
I mean, you would hope. I got them at 48.
Yeah.
I
was leaning around there. I had them around the 45 mark, but I do think they're probably a little better than we think. So probably 47.
Okay.
Just looking at it, I mean, I think even if they kind of cruise around league average, that should be about what you get. I mean, 47 is about 500, so that makes sense. I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but I think that's probably what to look for. I think if they are within 3 or 4 games of 500, that's a successful year one. And if they can keep the fans engaged, then hell yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, with all the either rebrands or new brands, off the field victories. And
Yes,
speaking of off
exactly.
the field victories, we get to our another team as we have gotten through half of these teams in this league so far, which feels like we're moving pretty good.
I agree.
Feels like we're doing pretty good on them. New Jersey up next, 7th in the East last year, no playoffs there. Tough situation all the way around from Jersey last year. Is it better? Is it worse? Is it pretty much the same?
I think it's a little better.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, okay. Pulling the roster again here, but felt like
it's better than 35 wins.
I mean, right, God willing. Especially the decreased talent level in the division is going to help. I mean, yeah, the guys that I'm looking at, like offensively, Miguel Gomez, I like him in the infield, and that's for sure. Who else are we looking at? Yeah, Acevedo stick around. Yeah. Acevedo is probably the standout star in my eyes.
Yeah, Jordan Scott, whatever happens with him.
Exactly. That was the next one I was going. Let's see if I can. Oh, Miggy Gomez already mentioned. Okay. Yeah. That's pitching. Probably the standout stuff.
Yeah.
Pitching. Yeah.
Parker.
Yes.
Tyson Long's interesting. Jojo Rodriguez too.
Yeah. Still working on that, but you can keep naming guys. I like that.
I only have one other name left, so.
Oh, well, that was great.
Nick Trabachi.
Not spectacular. Well, do like him.
That's about it.
Yeah, let's see my standouts here. Cole Rowland, he's stick on the roster. Sorry, it's my first sort of good look at the Jackals roster. Cole Rowland did not. That's unfortunate. I liked him. Matt Beatty, he didn't either. Cool. How about Noemi? Alex Barker. Okay, see, I like Alex Barker. He doesn't strike out a lot of guys, but he just kind of doesn't seem afraid of contact and kind of makes it work. In that ballpark, it could be a little weird, but I never know what to make of Hinchcliffe. Hinchcliffe is, keep in mind, plays technically speaking a little bit pitcher friendly. Man, a lot of turnover on this roster. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun. Jalen Long, he's one I really like. Strikes out about 9 guys per 9, walks a bit of guys, but he does tend to not get hit too hard, which is big in that ballpark. So he's one to watch. Yeah, I mean, generally, I don't know. What's your feel here?
I feel like they're 41 ball club because there's no depth here, and even some of the guys we pointed out here, if they weren't on this team, we may not point them out.
Yeah. I can actually get you a pretty good number on this because I have most of the roster put together without obviously making the cuts that they have made. How many do you have them at?
40.5.
Oh, see, I'm actually more positive.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, man. I got them at 43.
All right.
Hey, you know.
Biggest Jackal supporter on the show.
Well, here's my thing. I think the roster is constructed in a way where they can maximize that ballpark. I think the pitching staff, they're starting to build it in a way where they can make the most of where they're playing. So I think that's part of it. The other part of it is the division is pretty not great. I mean, let's call it what it is. So I think they should be able to make some hay at least. I mean, Sussex is so bad. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at there. 43. I could be convinced more, but it depends on what Down East really shows up with.
New York up next. 4th in the East last year, no postseason. Just on the outside looking in. This is a team, right? When we give the win projection here, it's not going to be accurate to the team. But look at what they get to play.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
So that's kind of where I land on with New York because they're going to be, they're going to be getting some trash teams. They're going to get to play a lot. So on that note, I don't love their pitching. Stock, and Vale, only 3 I really have a strong opinion on in a positive way. The batting I really like, though. The batting is very good. Agresti, Dennis, Genther, Higgins, Marte, Zerbrug, Bellany. These are all names I really like. I think they're going to hit really well. I just question the pitching. But I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem until the postseason. So until then,
right.
that's done.
Yeah, you kind of have to. Let's see. I mean, yeah, what does that even look like altogether? I'm just trying to think here. Man, I'm trying to get the comparison. Honestly, there were a few guys I expected to see on this roster that did not reappear, which is kind of throwing me for a bit of a loop. But I mean, again, compared to this entire situation with their division, it's sort of like, well, what do you expect here? So yeah, I think what are we looking at here? Because they got Sussex, Jersey, and down east. I mean, goodness, Sussex is so bad. I mean, like 56, 57? I think I have 57.
I have 57.5.
Yeah, okay. That feels right. Because honestly, this feels like I would say a 40 in any other division, like a maybe 50 win team, maybe closer to 45. I
would have put them more around like a 50-ish win team, but yeah,
that's where I was hanging around with them. I think my last the math before you take in the schedule, I think was around 49 wins.
That's about right.
But yeah, they did enough. A little surprised by a couple of people that are and are not on the roster, but that could just be me not be able to match up my own sheet to theirs. But oh well, we'll go into that another time. That's a future round problem.
But yeah, no, I think the offense will be great, but just that pitching staff scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, they really could have some rough days, though. That could be a team where they're able to make some moves as the year goes on, just as teams around them fall apart and they maybe take some guys off them.
That could be it. Ottawa up next. They're in the East, lost in the division series last year.
Yeah.
Don't they feel like they took a step back?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I definitely was seeing that coming together that way.
Yeah.
Let me
like the two Wrights and Briggs are nice. Casillas is the guy I like. Pitching wise, like Dazon Cole and Alfredo Villa are interesting, but I wouldn't count on them for a lot. Which leaves Grant Larson as the guy, and like not a bad thing per se, but also at the same time, I'd like to see more on this roster.
Right, because you're looking for a bit more. The pitching was good. The pitching was very good at times. You'd like to see maybe a little bit more added on the batting side, and just it felt like one or two impact guys, and that really wasn't what we saw. So that concerns me for obvious reasons, especially once you combine the fact that they do have, not like it's new faces in their division, but it's not getting easier. You're going to be playing, the Quebec, Trois-Rivieres is not dominant. Tri-City is a problem. So yeah, what to make of that though? I'm just trying to eyeball their schedule a little bit too.
Schedule-wise, they open with down east, then Washington, Lake Erie, New Jersey, New York, New Jersey, Tri-City, Brockton, Sussex, Quebec, Trois-Rivieres, Sussex, New York, Tri-City. Kind of keeps it like that. New Jersey, Brockton, Sussex, Tri-City. You get the idea.
Yeah. I mean, I'm like, so last year they had 53. Is it out of pocket to say they're 46 wins?
I was surprisingly high on this team. I don't know what I was thinking last night when I was doing this. Must be delusions. I had 55.5, and I don't understand how I got that number. You ever do that where you come up with a number and you go, I don't know how I got that?
I've had some numbers that made me require checking math fully. Here's my thing. I don't know, because I'm still not sold on mine necessarily. I think
maybe it's just the teams are going to play, right?
I'm adjusting mine to a 48.
Okay. I'm going to keep mine at 55.5, but I'm keeping mine solid because of the fact of I'm looking at who they're going to play. I'm pretty confident they're going to win those games. And I think
that's probably fair.
And I think part of it is the guys that return remember the last couple of years, and I think that's motivation. That being said, on paper, though, I definitely see a sub 50-win team.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. I'm gonna say Yeah, I'm going to say 48. Actually, the more I look at it, the more that makes sense. Just, looking at what their offense feels the same, and maybe their pitching might be going a slight step back. So that's kind of where I'm going to go with it. Send it.
Now, it's time for our favorite team. Quebec Capitals. First in the East. Won the championship last year. And the neat thing is, like, I look at the team, and there's some guys, they return some of the usual crowd. Quirion, Crawl, Gideon, Lebreau. Add in some other guys, the Freitas. The pitching staff has been overhauled. Gilberto Chu is here, and Harley Golec is back, but you got guys like Buckner, Garabitos, Perez. All interesting names. And objectively, right, I look at the team and I go, that's not that great of a team. Like, if that didn't have Quebec's name on it, I'd probably be like, oh, that's probably like a 52, 53-ish win team. But because Quebec 63.5, and here's my logic on it: is one, I know this isn't their final team.
Mm-hmm.
Two, every year they've competed in the Frontier League, they've won at least 60 games. And three, there's something about Quebec which they just find a way.
Mm-hmm.
I can't put my finger on it. Every time you're like, is this it? No, it actually isn't it at all.
It's the Canadian devil magic.
French-Canadian devil magic.
It's not French, it's spells.
But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I don't really have that much deep analysis here other than just like, I think they're a pretty good team.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's a lot of the same familiar faces. It's young guys who can probably make an impact. This team is fading a little older than I would have expected. A lot of 90s birthdays in here. Interesting to watch that. I was going to say, just a lot of people I've seen before. That makes me sort of feel like maybe, less turnover than usual. Let's see. I do think. Any guys that stand out to you?
Outside the ones I named?
Yeah, like I guess I meant like specifically new guys, but it's
not particularly. Like, that's the thing. Like, if this team didn't have the Quebec name and what comes with it, I wouldn't be that high on them. But they've earned enough reputation that I'm like, no, I'm going to be high on them because, like, they haven't shown me that they shouldn't be treated that way.
Yeah, I'm not.
I will say, to the counter, though, that's the one thing about Quebec is they'll go on like 5 or 6 year tears, and then they'll have one year where it's just like, what the hell was that? And then they'll bounce right back. So could this be that year?
Possible. I mean,
I just think that their conference is such,
on the pitcher side, I really like Ito. I really like the guys are bringing back. Losing Mosquediello sucks, but that's a reliever, and I hate to say it, but replaceable. Yeah, there are a lot of new faces on the pitching staff, though. Interesting. A lot of them, honestly. There was a lot more turnover than I would have expected.
They basically rebuilt the whole thing.
Yeah. Now there are more familiar names on the batting end, but yeah, that'll be interesting. I do think it is a fairly solid lineup, but I don't know. I think they might win less games than they did last year.
I mean, I could definitely see it. It's just that when they're good, they win 60. And I have so much faith in this team and this organization as a whole that I'm just going to bet on them, dominating, kicking ass until they stop doing that.
Yeah. Was that what you had? Did you have them at 60?
62.
All right. I mean, I had them at 61. I had them at 60.5 probably, but I'll round it up to 61.
Yeah, I had 62.5. So that's where I'm at with them. Going to Schaumburg now. Fourth in the West, just missed by a half game last year. Brutal.
Hurts.
Pitching staff wise, the guys that I really like, but there's just not that many of them. Cole Cook, Schlotman, Dylan Stutzman, and Mitch White.
Yeah, that's
I like them a lot, but it's just like those are the only guys there that I really,
Right. It's not going to overpower you. It's not going to be like, it doesn't feel like one of those ones where it is just relentless. Like one of those things of, once the weekend series is over, you're like, thank God. Okay. Like It feels like one where there's a lot of conversations of, and this is where I worry about a couple of the teams that are like Schaumburg built this way. There are some good arms, but it's one of those things where if you work them, you can have them out of the game in 4 or 5 innings, and you're got some wiggle room for half the game now. So that's where I worry about the depth on that.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that. Batting wise, only 4 names again. Calarco, Craig, Fetco, and Simmons.
You really like the Brent Spillane interests me always, but I don't know what to make of him. Like that is one of the ones I'm like,
same boat where
Brent
every time
Spillane's
Brent
back,
Spillane,
and I don't know what that means.
Yeah, it's like I like him, but then I look at him like, why do I like him? And I can't tell. It's just he does really well on bad teams, so he's kind of like the best of the worst. So I think higher of him.
I mean, there could be some of that. He is a guy. I mean, he delivers well. I mean, he's got good pop. I think he is just a solid piece. He played a lot of games 2023. I didn't realize he didn't play in 2024 though. It feels like just yesterday I was watching him with Windy City.
Well, he's supposed to be with Brockton, and then he just didn't.
Right. That begs the question then. Where does that leave us? It's about, we're high on half of the pitching side and the hitting side. So what does it mean? What does it mean?
I have about 53.5. Maybe a little high, maybe a little optimistic, but this is again a team that kind of can find their way into winning things. Keep in mind last year too, they were at 51. So
I had them at 51 again this time around.
I mean, I could definitely see that being the case. It's just I'm looking at them, I'm like, they're gonna get whatever Mississippi winds up being, Joliet, Windy City, Gateway's like the only team you walk in confidently on, like, okay, this is a team that's better than them.
Yep. Nope. I, for whatever reason, completely. I had one cell on my spreadsheet I didn't scroll down to and said Windy City. When I do that math, it puts them back at 53. So. Having Windy City in your division is good for 2 games if you're Schaumburg. So if anyone's curious,
we go back now. We continue on with the preview in the form of Sussex County, 8th in the East last year. No postseason for them. What do we look at when we see this roster?
I want to say improvement. I think I say that a lot.
Like, here's the thing. There's pieces on the team, and I'm sure just the way we're talking, people know this is the second half of the recording for the preview. So I'd already watched this. Like, I'm not high, people know it. So I got to watch this team for a game over the weekend, and
I was wondering if I could just be like, I don't know, what did you see in person?
All right, let's just go right to that. Certain guys I like, other guys I don't. I will say Robbie, who I didn't have originally written down here, he's got a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of power, and I think that could be very helpful. That being said, I still like guys like Backstrom and O'Brien. It's the 2 main contributors. I still like D'Amato and Maciel. I like him too. I think at least batting wise, there's a pathway forward here. That said, how they do is so dependent on the rest of the competition they have. And if a couple of those guys that can really hit the ball hard get picked up, I don't necessarily think they could be a little dink and dunk team.
Yeah, I feel that. You kind of listed the guys that did stand out to me, but they only stood out in the way of like, is it Robbie or Roby Jr.?
I honestly don't know.
It's all good. I mean, we'll find out. If he's good, we'll know soon.
Yeah.
But he had 25 home runs at one point, but that was like a few years back in AA. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. But there's a lot of guys where it's okay, maybe that will go well. But a lot of the stuff is a little concerning.
Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway from me from watching this team in person, and perhaps this is unfair because it's only them and Trois-Rivieres I got to actually see in person so far this year. But my biggest takeaway is they're better than that bottom tier of team in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Where when they're playing those truly abysmal teams, they could take 2 of 3, 3 of 4 pretty easy, and I think fairly consistently. It's just when you go out to the next group, I don't know how they fare. I have doubts on that.
I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because my take on their pitching was they have enough where if they really go all in, they could be really dangerous for a few games. But like once they burn some resources there, the rest of the week could be difficult. And that's kind of where I was going on the pitching side with it. I'm a little bit, they're going to need some guys to really work out. There's a couple guys I was looking at, like, who's it? Jackson, Balzan is interesting.
Yes.
He was really good in college. He was good with Trenton.
Yep,
but like, what is that going to mean over the course of a Frontier League season? He looked good in game 1 through, I think, 4 scoreless. But that's, that could go anywhere. I liked Kellen Brothers in his first year with Sussex. He threw a ton of innings there last year, which is always a red flag. Like the most innings he'd thrown in a season. Well, I guess he did throw like 100.
I mean,
he something in 2022. But he threw 144 innings last year between college and Frontier League.
He looked good in game 1, though. Us having watched him pitch, he looked good. Not great, but good. I mean, he gave a couple of ones that were pretty solid contact, but
no walks though. Take that.
For efficiency.
Yep. So, these are the things I worry about.
Yes.
I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were last year. Did I remember the notepad that I wrote down their projected win total in? No, of course I didn't. But yeah.
Yeah, I had him originally, I have 41.5 written down. I may revise it up to more like 42, 43.5, but I still think they're in that lower 40 number. I think that, they're going to be able to beat up on bad teams. I think teams in their own weight class, it's going to be a lot of, they win 103, then next series they'll win 203, and it's going to be a lot of just like how the roster happens to fall that day determines if they're winning a series or not. And I think against teams that are in that upper kind of portion ahead of them, it's going to be like, okay, we got 1 of 3. We did good. And you may steal a series here or there, but I don't think consistently are you going to be able to get wins against those upper tier teams.
I agree. I mean, I'm trying to look. When I had Sussex, I don't know, man. I still am like 30. Because all right. I look at them, I'm like, all right, they got Down East, got New Jersey, got New York. It's not the most stacked division they could have gotten.
Yeah.
But I don't, know that they're going to be better than any of them. So I'm like, well, where does that leave us is the thing. And I think, a lot of it comes down to how I feel about Down East, frankly. Down East, I mean, hasn't looked awesome. Maybe 40 wins. I think 40 wins is where I'm feeling it.
I mean, that seems fair.
Sure.
That feels fair. Alrighty then. So we shall move on to the next team on the list, which is Tri-City, second in the East last year. They lost in the wildcard game to Ottawa. Where do we kind of view the Valley Cats here? Is the Greg Taggart Renaissance for real, or is it less than real?
I'm so torn on this team. I think they could be in trouble. I mean, I feel like they're because I'm looking, I just don't know how good they're gonna be. Like, there's a lot, again, it's a lot of guys where it could go either way. I am not sure. I mean, it feels like a 500 team to me. I don't really know. I haven't heard a lot of great stuff about how the vibe was last year. I wouldn't be surprised if the turnover from last year doesn't help things. I don't know. What's the read you're getting?
I mean, I have a hard time believing that Greg Taggart changed that much, but the way he runs his ball club.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you do the same thing for how many years, and then there you go. I think another thing is, while there are guys that did come back, and notably all second-year guys are what I have written down to spotlight here. There also was a surprising amount of turnover, at least initially.
That's sort of where I'm at.
Something.
Right. I mean, bringing back Oscar Campos is cool. Like, there's some key contributors that are around.
Novak's nice. Yeah. Broderick.
That was my next stop. Exactly. But the guys who have come in to replace people who haven't come back, you're right, feels like a step backward.
Yeah. That being said, I do think they could put together a decent little rotation, though. I like Dill. I like Marinsnik. I like Klein. These are guys I think are very solid.
Yeah, I really have enjoyed watching Easton Klein when I've seen him pitch. Every once in a while he gets a little squirrely on control, but like he's kind of been fine. He stepped up well last year. I mean, he went from NAIA to throwing like 100+ innings for Tri-State last year, which is cool, and kept the ERA under 4, which is nice. I'm not sure he does that again necessarily. I'd look for an ERA maybe in the 4s, but he looked good in his first outing. So who am I?
I gotta say, like, the pieces I really like on this team. It's just a matter of there's not enough pieces I'm in love with.
Right, that's where I'm at.
Yeah, like I haven't pegged around 51.5 because I think the schedule's kind to them. I think the kind of guys that they have that are contributors aren't likely to get picked up, or at least not picked up early, and that will give them runway.
I had them at 50, so just over 500.
Okay. All right, so basically the same here. We're off by a game.
Yeah, we're sticking pretty close right now. We think we're getting a similar energy off some of these teams.
Yeah. Trois-Rivieres, you're up next, Trois-Rivieres. 5th in the East last year, no playoffs. They had that one bit where they looked pretty solid, right?
Mm-hmm. We thought it might be happening.
Yeah, and then it was, oh no, back to earth. New manager over there, Jonathan Apladehu, which we previously had him pegged in the wrong role in Empire State, so our bad there. But yes, this team here. Pitching wise, like Therian and Landry, I like.
Mm-hmm.
That's about it. And then batting wise, I think there's a lot more there.
Yeah. So to start, I think I mentioned before, I don't have anything against Apladejo. It just, I thought he was an interesting choice for manager. I thought, like, from a fit perspective, going to that organization was interesting. I have concerns about the rotation for sure. And I think that's sort of where it's going to start and end for me, because it is one of those teams where I do think they could hit the ball. I think they're going to have some days where they really hit well. I think they're going to have some days where they go a little quiet. But I do think their offense is going to work out to be league average-ish.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I think this rotation could struggle, man. I mean, right now they've thrown Harry Rakowski and Jacob Peden, neither of whom I would have been like, that's a reliable starter in this league. That worries me that that's an option off the bat. Both of them actually, now that I look at it, give up 6 runs in their first outing, and neither of them got out of the 4th. So, but literally that's kind of what projections look like there. And that's worrisome. I do think the bullpen could be better. Like, I mean, it could be better than the rotation. I mean, not saying like it should improve. I'm saying that actually looks like it could be well constructed and that might hold well. But I just don't know how many games they're going to just get outscored. And like, I could see them regularly putting up 4 to 5 runs in games, but just losing 9-4. And it's like in a game, they're never really in. And that's unfortunately, something. When you're going up against like Quebec, Tri-City, and Ottawa a good bit, like those are teams who are going to cash that in on you. And if they're seeing mediocre pitching frequently, by the end of the year, this is going to get painful.
Well, I mean, this past weekend, Sussex was cashing on that. And we just said what we said on Sussex.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
I mean, those other teams you named there, I mean, they're definitely going to cash in on it. And like, that's the thing. Like, there's moments where like, oh, they'll go ahead, they'll get 2-1, they'll hit a big home run, or they'll get bases loaded, they'll bang one off a wall, and it's like, oh, they're up 4-1 right now. And then you just slowly watch this go, and you're like, this is going down, it's going down, it's going down. And then next thing you know, it's now 9-4.
Yeah.
Oh.
That is where I'm worried. I think what we saw this weekend's kind of what this team is. Like, and there was not one of the games that they played so far where I was like, oh, that's interesting. I was like, yeah, all right. That kind of tracks.
Yeah, I mean, the first game they kept it close. I think it was 1-0.
Yeah, that makes sense because what's his name? Hansel, I think, was pitching that one. I like him. I think he's interesting. I watched. He was with Williamsport before this, and then I think he was in like not the Mountain West, not the Ohio Valley, the Mountain. No, something Valley, Missouri Valley. There we go. But it wasn't super impressive there. But I don't know. The numbers on him, like he had a sort of weird outlook where whenever his control was good, his numbers were really like solid, and then when he was losing control, like that feels like an obvious statement. But there's a lot of guys out there who have bad control.
Let's see. So that first game, where was it 2-1? Yeah. Terrian was on the mound. He threw 5 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned, 2 walks, 6 Ks. Fernandez came in to relieve him, gave him an inning and 2/3, 2 walks, 4 Ks, no hits, no runs. Castro came in after that, 1 1/3, no runs, no hits, 2 walks, 1 K. And then Weiberg came in, got 1 out, allowed 1 hit, 1 earned, which would wind up being the walk-off run, and struck 1 out. So
Mike Hansel pitched yesterday, it looks like.
Yes.
That was the one I was thinking of. So I just get like a stack of box scores and just I'm like, let's see where we're at.
Yeah.
But I mean, he pitched well, and that kind of matches. It sounds like an obvious statement of like guys tend to do well when they throw strikes, but he's one where it literally is in games where he doesn't have control issues. He seemed to do much better to the point of like, hey, like all he really needs to do at times is figure out the control thing, and he's good to go. There's other guys where it's like, oh, figure out control thing, and it's like now he's in the zone, but he's also getting absolutely just crushed. He doesn't quite fit that mold, at least in the little bit of play I've seen from him, and that's why I find him interesting. And for a team that kind of has to get creative with how they build a rotation, a guy like that, especially if they're using him 4th in the rotation, could be really nice. Those are things where I look at. I'm like, all right, like, yeah, you can have 1 or 2 good starters, but like it's these mid-tier teams where you're like, if you're going to get over the hump, you need like a 3 and a 4 who aren't going to absolutely just cost you bullpen pitching every day.
Yeah.
That is my one actual thing with him. I'm a little worried about his potential to go deep in a game, but that's a different concern entirely.
Yeah. Any batters in particular you're looking at? Because I think David Vinsky and Peltier are 2 guys that I like as batters.
Matthew Valley, it just says that on my notepad, so I'm going to look up what it was that I said about him on my other sheet, because he must have got my attention on something. Oh yeah, because he hit super well last season in like a short stint. I think it's interesting. I don't know if he's going to keep that going. Like, I mean, the pace was crazy, but it is worth noting. I mean, he hit 341 with Trois-Rivieres last year, but he also hit 341 in college in his last year. So kind of consistent. I don't know if that's going to play over the course of a year, but I'm a little surprised that they're still using him in like a backup role. I feel like he's at least worth getting some more play there. That like, other than the usual suspects that we would think,
yeah,
I'm not like blown away. There's nobody here I'm like, you gotta see this guy, you know?
McGrath's not bad.
Yeah, but
McGildo could be something too. I look at him. He's had a rough start to the year, but I think he could turn it around.
He has, but I think so too. Yeah. Little curious how they're going to range their catching, but I think that'll be fine. Yeah, it's just a team that's lacking a bit of depth, and I think they're going to be one where I think they struggle. Like, they need to win the game so they have the right guys on the bump, and then if they don't, it could be like a long week, and then you got to try to, all right, new week, let's see how this goes, which unfortunately is not typically how you build a playoff team in the Frontier League.
Exactly. Win projection.
But if we're looking for baby steps, maybe.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, I think they might go backwards, unfortunately.
Where are you looking at win total here?
Where'd you have them?
I had them at 38.5.
I have a 38.7.
Hey,
I don't know if you can see me because my camera wasn't working, but that was the result of my math. 38.75. Nice. Look at us. Yeah, I don't know, man.
I just think they're going to lose more games than they're going to win here, and I think it's going to be there. We talked like this whole preview, I guess, bonus episode at this point about there's going to be some teams that this is why Brockton's going to do so well. This is why New York's going to do so well because they're going to be beating up on these lower teams, and there's going to have to be someone that's that bottom team, and it just feels like they're the most likely candidate to be on that bottom of the pile. Not to say that they're
them or Brockton, yeah,
and not to say that there is like, not a bunch of teams that could become that one, but it's got to be a leading contender off the bat, and well, this happens to be the one.
Not tremendous, but we'll see.
Yeah. Moving on.
Now.
Yes, we are up to the penultimate team. We have the Washington Wild Things. Now, first in the West, lost in the Frontier League Championship Series at the altar of Quebec.
Yeah. What do you think? Think they're getting sacrificed to them again, or do you think they might put it together? I mean, I think we both agree that they're going to be beating.
Yeah, I mean, I think their offense is really good. I mean, McNeely back, Lagrange back. Chaik is a solid guy. He performed well the last time he was in Washington. Didn't do so good when he went away from there, so maybe he has something back there. Ethan Wilder is a guy I really like. So I written down prior to even winning his Player of the Week award this week. So love to see that. Tyreek Reed's back.
Wasn't Wilder like I can pull up, but he was like something like almost 800 this week.
Yeah, no,
this weekend.
He's insane.
That'll work, man. All singles though. Choices.
Interesting. So you have that small ball. You love small ball though.
Got Willie Estrada, who I like behind the
Willie Estrada's another one. Tommy Coughlin's another one. Like this roster is very deep batting wise. Like realistically,
still hanging out. Andrew Check.
Yeah, mentioned him. You could realistically,
my bad.
You could have like honestly a 1 through 8 here where you're like, they're all dangerous.
Right, exactly.
And that is like wild to me. And like that's why I'm a bit more forgiving on the fact that I don't love the pitching staff. Avito, Kirby, and DeValeria. So those three are really the only ones I look at and go, I like them a lot as far as pitchers go. So that is concerning me that the depth isn't there. But it does look like they have the horses to turn this thing into a track meet and win that way.
And I will say, it made me feel a little better this weekend. Now, keeping in mind they went 1-2 this weekend, but the way they went 1-2 was something interesting. Lost a shootout in 10 innings with Windy City. And then, which by the way, shout out to Toby Hall, I think being the first manager ejected this season and across Indy Ball. That's a vibe.
Yeah,
doing on opening day is crazy. The interim manager first game tossed. Love that. Yeah. Then they lost 4-0 the next day, but like they used Windy City had to use Newman for 2 1/3. And it looked like by the time they were kind of on either familiar pitching or guys who maybe aren't, high leverage guys for Windy City, and they dropped the 10 spot on them in game 3. And I think there's going to be a lot of that. It's like if you can't stack up your best against that lineup, you're going to be in trouble. And on the flip side, Washington, who had to do the 10-inning battle, who had a close one that they lost the next day, still put together a bullpen outing of 5 innings and no runs. So they still had some shooters coming out. So that was reassuring to see as somebody who's also a little uncertain about the pitching depth, especially in the pen.
Yeah, no, I think that's the thing too. With this organization, I trust them to find the guys to fill the holes too. I think that's what you're saying.
Mid-season additions are a skill set for them. That's not a skill set for everybody.
Exactly, yeah. And I trust Tom Vaith as a manager to know when to use guys in the right spots. He's proven that plenty.
Yep.
So
fresh contract.
Yeah, I am curious to see here. And I mean, if you're going to have guys that are mostly new, but they're going to be mostly bullpen guys, I guess that's the place you want them. Because at least then you could ride hot hands all the way through. If you're going to be running out a bunch of green starters, you could in for a very rough week.
Yeah. especially if you need innings out of them. Yeah. I agree.
You don't want to throw away games, especially in their division. Their division's going to be a bit tougher than most.
Mm-hmm.
So, like them a lot. I'm very high on them. What are you thinking for win total?
I am too. I'm sitting around like the mid 60s. I want to say 65, which is crazy compared to the rest of the division. I'm just going to say that. But also, the rest of the division's Lake Erie, Florence, and Evansville.
Right now, I have this giant Joker smile on my face.
Why?
Because I have my projected one at 65 and a half.
Let's go. I had it between 66 and 65 too. So I don't know what the exact number was on mine, but it was close to 65 and a half.
I'm just glad to see that. I'm not like my just item numbers are lining up with like actual mathematics. I'm happy to see that.
There's some mathematics. It's a lot of this is going off of the player mix and then vibes off of that because I haven't even gotten a chance to run the full numbers because my life is not my own.
Well, master nerds, remember that.
And there's the Ethan Wilder stat line: 8 hits, 11 ABs, 3 ribbies, 2 walks.
Yeah, batting
13 times to the plate, got on base 10 times. That's really funny.
Yeah, we got one last team to get through. Is the Windy City Thunderbolts, 7th in the West, no postseason. Last year, of course. This year, where are we feeling? Because they came out of the gate and they surprised me so far. They handled Washington fairly well. Washington struggled a little bit, but I'm not reading too much into one series. That being said, their offense looks rough, but I think there are some guys in that pitching room that are good.
Yeah, I think their high-end pitching really showed out this week. I think the lack of depth was really sort of exposed as well, which was, I think for me, it didn't really lift the ceiling much for them. I don't know. It lifted. I flipped that in my head. It didn't really lift the floor as much, but it did lift the ceiling a bit. Okay. I guess it might have been flipped in my head. I think I had it right the first time. Because for me, I was like, I don't know how the top end guys are going to be. They actually seem pretty good. So like the guys that you're looking for to deliver both on the mound and hitting are delivering. So that does raise the floor at least. But that said, the ceiling relies on everything else falling together of how good they could possibly be. And I don't know. They look pretty rough when they look pretty rough. So that is what I would put into the column of definitely concerning when it comes to Windy City.
Since the management of the picture so far have been interesting, I don't want to turn it all into just, let's take a look at the series. I still do want to look at the, remaining however many games, 90 plus games. But they
have allowed 28 runs. Even the shutout, they've allowed 28 runs in 4 games.
So, yeah. Although I will say it is interesting that they only have one pitcher across that whole span that's thrown more than 4 innings.
Yeah, that's not going to be. And I think we saw that in the last game where they gave up a 10 spot. I think we saw that that's not a good long-term plan.
The management of the pitchers need to be better.
It's going to be. It might be all it can be, if I'm honest. Like, not to go super easy on anybody here, but if the guys can't go more than 4, you're going to just have to divide it up through the bullpen. And that's not good. Now they need pitchers who can go longer, and hopefully they're just getting guys stretched out, but I have a feeling they are not going to get a lot of long outings from this crew. So they're going to need to find a solution there. This is not just going to the pen, the same dudes over and over again, because that's going to start to wear.
Yeah. This is starting to look like a Lamar Rogers spring training game here, where everyone's getting their 15 pitches and then getting out of the game. This is it's just kind of, I've seen a bunch of he threw 1 inning, he threw 1 inning, he threw 2 innings, he threw 3 innings. And it's that's great if that's every 5th day to pick up your 5th starter that's throwing 4 innings before he starts to go to shit. That's fine. Hell, even if you're doing that on the days of your 3 and your 5, so that way at least you got the day off in between for your bullpen. And you're gonna say the 4 stars to eat it day. Even if that was the case, right? I'd feel better about it. But if you're going to be, 4 of the 5 days, by committee, I hope you have a stable of guys to rotate through, because this is not a viable option long run.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Evers was a hero by the fact that he went 6 2/3. I mean, other than that, I mean, Bobby Bath got smacked. Buddy Pindell, it looked like they basically, I mean, three innings, 2 runs, 5 hits. Greg Duncan, 2 runs and 2 1/3. I don't know that he stretched out to be a starter either way. I think he's a Black Sox guy.
None of them were earned too, by the way, though. That's something to keep in mind for those runs.
Right. And like, he wasn't filling the bases up. No walks, 3 strikeouts. So he didn't have a bad outing. It was only 2 1/3. So it's, as good as it is. Again, I'm not putting it on him because I don't think he is necessarily stretched out to be a starter. So it's fine. They probably just want to get him through. I think probably faced 12 batters. So they probably weren't looking to get him through more than a turn in the order. It's just, then it's going to be a bullpen from there. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of that if they're stacking up this way. I mean, you can't have 3 out of 4 pitchers go less than 4. I understand it's early in the year, but it's just like, whew, that's a lot to ask.
Yeah, it certainly is. I got concerns about that. I will say, though, guys like Duncan, Helgeth, Pindell, Reynolds, Friedel, those are guys I do like. I just want to see their usage be better. And I think if they start to get that all figured out, they can be a good team. Batting-wise, though, which is something we haven't really discussed, is where I get kind of concerned. And I will say I'm a little bit at ease. Just coming off the past weekend, scoring, 18 runs in 4 games? Like, that's not bad. I like a little bit more, but it's not bad. Just that
runs, I think, in 4.
Huh?
No, I'm bad at math. I flipped it, and I flipped who scored what in that last game. But yeah, you're right. Your math checked out. That was on me.
Well, I hope that's taking right to stat page. Regardless, though, the issue I have, it seems like most of the offense is coming from like a couple of guys. Like, I do think Cam Feltz and Jose Kirpka are going to be better. I think those are 2 guys I really look at here. But again, as a batting average guy, when the majority of the team, the majority of the starting lineup really, is under the Mendoza line through 4 games, I understand it's such a small sample size I shouldn't care. But like 2 for 17 doesn't look good. 2 for 13 doesn't look good.
So through the first, it's been a good offensive start from a run scored perspective, but they have they have 3 guys hitting 250 or above. One of them has only played 1 game. One of them has only had 3 at bats, and one of them has had a full 13 plate appearance run. So, not ideal, not what you want.
I just like how some of these guys, like Broussard, who has 3 walks across this, still has an OPS below 500, despite having 3 walks in 4 games.
Yeah. This is not looking like an offense that can support that pitching staff, unfortunately.
Yeah. See, I think the bigger thing here for me is, especially looking at this, is a lot of their outs too.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I hate getting into really analyzing things here, but there's not too much else to say about them in the preview portion, and we're on it now, so I'm going to go in on it. Is that a lot of these outs too seem to be unproductive outs. You look at how they're making outs, it's a lot of strikeouts, 35 in 4 games. Like, we're striking out nearly 10 times a game here. That's very concerning. I mean, like, you have guys that are regulars in the lineup, let's sort by games played here, and going just top down from, sorting by 4, 6, 4, 4, 3, 3, 3, 6. You don't get someone that played 3 more games until you get to Diaz here, who only has 1 in 3 games, and he's been probably their best hitter. If not, not best hitter. It's 7 for 12. So I would definitely put him in that category. While he's not drawing walks, he's not striking out. So at least he's finding ways to do something. Then you look at some guys, and like I said, you're getting 6 Ks to 1 walk, or you strike out 4 times to 3 walks. I mean, that's not bad, but like on base 5 times or striking out 4 times, you don't do anything then. Like, these are, you get on base and then you die at first, and that does you no good. Like, at least you're getting on and causing something to happen. Like, you get on, you steal a base, okay. If you could then have the next guy make an out, but it's a fly out, you can advance on the third. And at least then it's like, okay, now we're in a position where we could do something here. You put some pressure on them. But when it's like, oh, okay, well, they're just going to be swinging, or they don't know what to look for. And again, maybe it's because they played Washington for the most part, and that's a tough team to go against. But it's not a great sign right now.
No, I agree. And they're not far and away worse on strikeouts than anybody else. Actually, Evansville's worse on strikeouts than anybody through a few games. But it is, I mean, that 208 average. My issue is like what Florence is saying 103 through their, I guess they only have one game. New York saying 125 through their first two games. Jersey saying 150. But all three of those teams in my head, I'm like, I watched them play. They don't, didn't feel like that was, it was just a tough couple games, tough stretch.
Yeah.
When feels like it might be a 208 team. Like there was nothing, checking out that game or a couple of those games. Like if I was like, yeah, okay, this follows.
Yeah. Plus, in total fairness, those three teams at the bottom there, Florence has only played one game.
Right.
New York's only played two, and New Jersey played three. Yes, but one of them was a doubleheader. So,
okay.
And they played Quebec. So, like, that's not exactly a 1-for-1 here.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah, so.
That's what I'm saying. Like when you go up that list, it's like, I don't know, man. This feels like what we can expect.
True. Where do you have them at win protection wise?
I have them maybe. Oh my gosh, really? Do I have them worse than everyone else?
You know, it's funny. I had them higher.
Harsh. That feels harsh. Continue.
I was gonna say, like, despite me kind of getting on them a little bit here, I still have them in the mid 40s for wins. I am at 44.5. And it's more or less just based off of that pitching. I think the pitching is going to carry the day a lot.
See, I had them at 39.
Ooh, okay.
Feels bad. I don't like it, but it just, I don't know. Do they feel, if last year they were a 40-win team, do they feel better?
That's the thing. I don't really know, but I'm going to be optimistic on them and say the pitching's going to help out a lot.
Yeah, but also, I mean, last year they also had Evansville, Florence, and Lake Erie in their division. Now they don't. I don't know. Anyway, that's just where I'm at. That's the vibe.
I would only counter with this, though, in the assumption. Windy City's going to have Mississippi in there, so we don't know what they're going to wind up being. Joliet, which we're still, we're high on, but we're not totally sold on. And they're still going to get their games against some of the other teams in there, too. Like, this is not like you're only playing a division. They're going to get some other games as well. I think they're going to be able to get to 44. I mean, it's still, below 500 by about 3-4 games. So, it's not killing it, but I think they'll be fairly average. That being said, though, I will throw one critique out there on this stat page here from Point Streak, which the league's on Point Streak now, in case you didn't know. They didn't mention it, but they're on there. They have a games played setting for the standings page. Everybody's at 0 right now. But more importantly, why do we even need that as a category there? And why does it have to be right in front of wins and losses? Because when you just look at the number, you think the first thing's wins, the second thing's losses, and the last thing's ties or something like that. But now it's just like, games played, wins and losses. Minor critique, but one I have to mention. Let's get this fixed.
On another note, I just got a follow from Slater Shield, who I stand by the fact he's going to be a dude despite a slow start at the plate.
Proud of you. Happy for
Thank you. Just saying. Which just reminded me, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I have publicly endorsed this man.
I got a follow from the Oakland Ballers earlier today. That's great.
See how that goes. I'm in their fantasy league now.
Oh, that's good. We got to get our own fantasy thing up and running soon, don't we?
Yeah, we do. Well, right in a couple of weeks, it'll be up and running, I think.
In any case, we have the little wrap-up bit here before we get out of here. Where do you see these playoff teams coming from? Keep in mind...
Yeah. You were already going with where I was going to ask.
Yep. So just as a refresher here, the playoff system this year, each conference is going to send 4 teams to the postseason, but 2 of those teams are going to be the division winners, and then the next 2 are the best records. So you could have 3 from a division, or you could have just 2 from each division. We can look at the Atlantic first and then go to the Midwest if you would like.
We can do that.
All right. Would you like to start it, or would you like me to go first?
I can start it.
All right. Why don't you start it? Let's go East-North wildcards.
I got New York coming out of the East.
In agreement, yeah.
I've got Quebec out of the North.
In agreement there, yeah.
And in my wild cards, I've got Tri-City and Ottawa.
Any particular order on that?
Tri-City, then Ottawa.
Interesting. I had Ottawa and then Tri-City.
Ah, so close.
I know. We're in general agreement on this, though.
Right.
Now, the interesting part here is, as we mentioned when we talked about New York, that could be a Fugazi record because they're playing some bad teams here. So they're going to rack up wins, which could get them the number 1 spot, which will get them the lower of the 2 wild cards. So selfishly, I kind of want to see New York Tri-City in the first round, a little interstate rivalry. And then Quebec Ottawa again in that first round. I think that'd be fun. I want another Quebec Ottawa series, essentially what I'm trying to get to.
That's
However,
fair.
we get it. And I'm happy about that. Selfishly, New York or Sussex going far would be nice for me personally. I get to watch more postseason baseball, but yes, that's from the Atlantic side of things. In the Midwest, what are we looking at here?
In the Central, I've got Washington.
Okay.
In the West, I have Gateway. Then I have split wildcard teams. I've got Schaumburg, and then I've got Lake Erie.
Ooh, as anticlimactic as it is, we agree on every playoff team but one.
Lake Erie?
Yeah. I don't have them in there. I have Washington winning the Central, Gateway winning the West, Schaumburg, it's the first wild card, and then my final playoff team would be Evansville.
Evansville, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I have them in there for that. Yeah. So I think it could be a fun little bit here. For your final, where do you have this going?
I mean, in the Atlantic, I have chalk, basically. I got Quebec and Ottawa meeting in the final for the Atlantic, and then I got Quebec taking them out, as Quebec does. I think the West, you have to have one that just makes you roll your eyes at, like, small sample playoff baseball. I think Lake Erie, like 17 games, probably worse than Washington, pops them out of the playoffs just because life's a nightmare. And then I think Schaumburg does the same with Gateway. And then I think Schaumburg goes over Lake Erie. So it's Schaumburg and Quebec.
Okay.
There's nothing over that other than just like vibes and life is a nightmare. So and also I do have a fundamental distrust of teams that didn't have to be like super competitive all the way to like the finish line.
That's fair. I have it being Quebec and New York because it's just the way the wild cards worked out. With Quebec still taking it, it doesn't really matter who they play in any part of their bracket. I think Quebec's going to roll their way right to the finals because that's just how they work. As far as the flip side goes, until Gateway proves to me that they're not, a paper tiger and that they can actually win postseason games that matter, I am going to put them chronically as the team that's going to fall short. I think they play a Schaumburg team that been there, done that. I think Schaumburg takes care of them. I do think Washington will take care of Evansville. Might be a tighter series than how the record will wind up shaping out, but I do think Washington takes it. I think Schaumburg falls short on Washington. I think we get a rematch of last year, while you have a rematch of 22, if I'm not mistaken, because I believe 23 was the Evansville year, and 22 was the Schaumburg year. It's kind of funny how we can keep track of Quebec won all of them. It just matter who they went through. Selfishly, I kind of want to see Gateway get a crack at this. Just, see if they can keep mounting heads on the wall. But in the end, I don't think it really matters who comes out of the West. I think Quebec's still winning this because at this point, you'd have to be an idiot to bet against a team that's won 3 straight.
They're so consistently built for it, and I just feel like they're going to be built for it again. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get it this year, and maybe like they get caught in a bit of a reset rebuild, but even that, I still think they're so good. I wrestled with picking them last year because I felt it was like, oh no, they keep winning, and now I'm going to pick them. Now I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to obviously pick them because I'm not stupid.
Yeah, it's like picking the New England Patriots, right? Like you go there and you're like, yeah, I get a pretty good chance of being right.
I mean, at a certain time.
Not
But
post
also
Lake
it-
Louis, but you know.
But it's also the thing of like Washington and Gateway both, or Gateway struggles in the playoffs because they're like kind of built on like hitting and guys who can also go cold, and that happens. And like I think Quebec is just built with more layers and like fail safes, for lack of a better term. Like I think there's more preventing them from going on a slide at the wrong time than other teams do.
They are deeper. They know how to win in more ways. That's the thing.
Right.
And they seem to always come up when it matters, right? Like even when you have them pinned and down, there's still like this belief in that dugout that they are going to win. And that somehow carries them through. And I can't really put my finger on it other than just like most of them were probably in that same spot less than a year ago. So they're just like, yeah, it's like last year. Let's just go out and do our job and it'll be fine. And then they go out, do their job, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Last little bit here, the final 3 questions, like we always do at the end of this preview. I have to ask you, who is your most surprising team for 2025?
I'm gonna go Mississippi. I think Mississippi will be more competitive than we think.
I would, I was thinking long and hard about Mississippi. I still may go there. I think I'm going to pick something different just for the sake of, being different, not going 1 for 1. Looking across the board, Joliet's one that I think could be very surprising in a good way. Trying to think if there's anybody else here that really is like jumping off the page at me. And not particularly. So I think I'm going to go Joliet here. I still don't think they're a playoff team, but I think they come very close to doing it.
Yeah, I could see that. That was my like backup on that one. In fact, because I think they're going to be good, I almost scared me off the Mississippi pick because they're in the same division.
Yeah, I just think those 2 teams are both. They have a good foundation, and I trust the people at the helm.
Yes,
which I think is the biggest thing at this stage. Most disappointing team.
I think Florence. I think every year we look for Florence to do something. And it's not that I think they're in disappoint like their projections. I just think we all wanted them to be something that they're just not, unfortunately.
So I got 2 ways of thinking about this. One could be disappointing relative to what we expect from them. And one could just be from what we wind up getting, we'll be disappointed we didn't get more from them. And that's why I'm debating between New York and Ottawa. Because Ottawa, you kind of expect them to go a little bit more. Now, we've just talked about how we think this postseason is going to go. So, first round or second round exits kind of like, oh, yeah, that's probably where it's going to be because Quebec. But generally speaking, relative to how things are supposed to go, your first year, you're figuring it out. Year 2, you go in, you make a good run, you get your feet wet, you get the experience, you have your core group that you know is going to be your group until they age out. And then year 3, is when you go on that run. That's kind of like how you envision that going. That's your 3-year plan. Maybe it's delayed or bumped up a year, give or take, but that's generally how it is. And I just don't see how that plan can still be in place for them with the pieces in front of them. And it's disappointing that they're not going to be able to continue on that because I do think they're a good team. I do think they're well ran, but I just don't see how they're better than, say, Quebec is. The flip side of it is, and the reason why I say New York, it's like we expect them to put up a bunch of wins. We expect them to be very much in contention for the number 1 seed in the Atlantic, right? Because they're going to be racking wins. So that inherently means they have a smaller area to land in. Their bar is pretty high up there to clear. So if they don't clear it, and if they somehow not even miss the postseason, but even just get in as a wild card, that's wildly disappointing relative to where we expect them to be. And even if they get in and they win, say, I don't know, let's say some stupidly high number, like 67 wins or something like that. They way outperform us. They get damn near 70. The expectation for a 70-win team is you're going to steamroll the first round, hit a little bit of problems in the second, but be relatively untouched, and then not face a true challenge until you get to the final. And even then, you probably should win. And obviously, it wouldn't be a true 70 win when you have, the competition you have in that division. So they set themselves up to be disappointing. So I'm torn between the two. I'm going to go Ottawa on it solely because I do think the pathway is something that I kind of expect from them more to keep making those jumps, and I don't see how they're going to do it. And it's disappointing for me to see that. And I just kind of know how these series go against Quebec. There's always at least one or two heartbreakers in there. And so when that happens for 3 years in a row, disappointing is the only real way to put it.
Yeah, that's fair. By that definition, I might have actually gone the same way.
Yeah. I see what you're saying with Florence, though. It's like, it's becoming...
Mainly because I do root for Florence. I think that's sort of coloring my decision making there.
Yeah, I mean, I see it, though, because, they're at the point where they show you just enough to be like, I know you're better than what your record says you are. But you got to start to put it all together consistently. And that's not happening.
No.
So,
nope.
Last thing to get to. The biggest storyline of the year that we will watch will be...
I mean, it has to be further expansion, right? I hate to take it off the field.
Yeah.
But it has to be. 18 isn't the number that any league is looking for.
I could very well see that being the case here. It's a matter of where they're going to go. Is the question.
I have my theories. I think because they're going to be quick switches. Yeah, I think it's existing indie ball markets from other leagues, but I keep being told I'm crazy on that one. But okay.
The people that tell you the other potential, you are crazy. So
the other potential one is the Frontier League does have multiple organizations with the same owner, where at least one of the organizations seems like kind of a garbage fire.
Yeah.
So I could also see that bubbling up as a story of if one of the ownership groups has trouble, all of a sudden it's double the problem essentially. But I don't see any of them fully on the edge. Other than the Jersey collective there.
The Jackals are an issue with that Hinchcliffe situation.
Hey, that's a mess, man.
I understand that there's nowhere else to go. I understand it's a delicate situation, but it's not sustainable. And I get how they do the attendance, where it's well, this is what we sold. So the in-person is a lot different from the actual sold attendance. I get that. But you can only survive on so long of sold tickets, right? At a certain point, you need an in-game populace to generate money in the high revenue areas, such as merchandise and concessions. And at what point is the school district of Patterson going to say, we don't really want them here because they don't generate enough revenue to the city and to the facility to justify their presence here?
Yeah, the whole nature of that deal surprises me. I think you're right about that. It's also, maybe it's just worth it for them to have somebody else potentially paying into that large stadium that they only have our high school sports, which is a little crazy in itself. But I don't know, bro. That does feel like the most likely thing to fold. Not fold necessarily, but to melt down.
Yeah, so they need to find somewhere else to go. It's just a matter of where else is there to go and trying to work that deal out. But I'm going to keep it on the field for mine, which is odd because I haven't done that yet. I think Quebec's 4-peat is really what we're going to be watching, what we're going to be talking about for most of the year. Partially because we're obsessed with this. Mainly I'm obsessed with this. But I think the closer and closer we get to it, we're going to be talking more and more about it. Right? Because if Quebec starts slow, I know they had a great weekend against New Jersey, but it's New Jersey. So it's possible they still go slow. And we'll be talking, is this the year? Is this the year? Is this the rebuild year? And then they'll do the same thing they did last year. I'll be like, oh, no, silly. They just won 50 of their last, 70 games. And you're a fool for thinking otherwise. So we'll be looking at that and go, the charge is on. And there'll be someone from the West or someone in the East that we go, this could be a clash here. This could be something to watch. And whether it happens or not, I don't know. But that whole hunt is going to be something we're going to be talking about, I think, the whole year.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wish I went something more on the field. It is what it is. It's fine. I am who I am.
Do we have any other thoughts on the Frontier League before we depart here today?
Not for today. I'll probably have some follow-up thoughts once I put together my whole preview thing on my channel eventually, but that's feeling like a longer way off than I prefer to even think about.
Well, don't worry. I'm sure the association preview is nearly done.
Suddenly closer than the Frontier League one, yeah.
Is it closer than the NOCO video?
Yeah, don't get me started. Let's wrap this up before I...
What about the murder mystery series?
That one is, I just need to edit the whole thing, and that's going to take a while, but like, I'm not going to prioritize over baseball. You know what I mean? It's not like that's changing.
I don't
There's
know.
no developing news there.
Look, there could be a resurrection. We don't know.
Well, then we'll have answers, and I won't need to do a video.
No, you'll have to do a completely different video. That's what you'll need to
And then
do.
turns into an interview.
All right. Throw your plugs in here.
Indie Ball Nation on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, podcast platforms. I think that's it. I think I got it. Right? Indie Ball Nation. Yeah. At Indie Ball Nation, technically. But, you do you.
And Indie Ball Pod on Twitter, Indie Ball Report everywhere else. Going to have more content coming up fairly soon. And who knows? Maybe we'll continue to do 2 a week so that people seem to like them. Who's to say? But in any event, that was the preview. Hope you guys enjoyed. It was a fairly long one. You see why we splintered it off into 2 parts. In any case, until next time, don't forget to play ball.